and welcome to yet another edition of You Can Get There From Here. I'm Dr. Joel Moore, Chair of the Department of Communication and Digital Media Production at the University of Central Missouri, and it's my pleasure every week to get to bring you some of our alumni. We talk to graduates in digital media production, others from communication studies, and others from their master's program. I'd like to thank you for joining us again today because we have a special guest. Meet Dylan Lewis. Dylan is a graduate in communication studies, and after we had some technical issues getting online, I'm glad to have him on with us today. So Dylan, how are you?
I'm doing great, Joe. I'm glad to be here. It's good to see you.
Well, Dylan reached out to me, I believe it was either earlier this week or last week. They wanted to come to our career fair with his business currently, and so we're excited to have him on board. And Dylan, why don't you start off? Tell us about yourself. Tell us where you come from, and what brought you to UCM.
Okay. So originally from Blue Springs, grew up there until about middle school, moved to Pleasant Hill, a bit of a small town. Ended up going to UCM. My mom, she was in the nursing program there. So it was something that I had always thought about going to. Originally, I wanted to get into sports journalism originally. To be honest with you, was not the most dedicated to that at the time. I was in a few classes with Joe. He probably doesn't remember me, though, because I was not the most attentive at that point in my life. Took a bit of an alternative route to school. Was in the digital media production program for about the first 3.5 years. Just wasn't really super applying myself, to be honest. And I took some time off of school. I actually took a sports writing class with Joe online while I was out of school. Keeper might not remember this, but I started off really slow in that class. I got really far behind, and I was kind of on my last legs at UCM at the time. He took a leap of faith on me and gave me a second chance in the class. I was able to finish the class, pass the class. I ended up, after that class, I enjoyed it a lot, but I just didn't necessarily see myself just who I am as a person being able to continue in that field. So I ended up switching my major to communication studies. When I was working full time at the time for a Budweiser distributor, I ended up picking up a class, the Dale Carnegie class with Terry Kinconen. And honestly, that kind of really changed my whole perspective on life in general, on business, on communicating with others. And it's been a huge impact in my life. Terry's one of my favorite teachers I've ever had. He's one of the best. And just being able to communicate with not only people in your industry as well as customers, and being able to get the most out of other people is a lot of that I learned in that class, as well as leadership, some public speaking as well. But yeah.
I always say it's not where you start, it's where you finish, and for some it takes a little bit longer to find their legs and to just find their comfort zone of what they're happy with. And glad we gave you that second chance and you were able to figure out where it is that you wanted to be and what you want to be doing. And you're absolutely right. Terry Kinconen, he's one in a million. He's a great one. He teaches that Dale Carnegie. I owe him a lot. He hired me. So without Terry, I'm not here either. So I'm glad that worked out for you. And it seems it's paid off because now you're one of the heads of sales for SafeHaven Security, which is the authorized dealer for ADT. So tell us about that.
Correct. So I've been with the company a little over a year. Straight out of college, I did door-to-door for a home improvement company. Door-to-door marketing, I was a marketing manager there for about 3 to 4 years. Came into Safe Haven, one of my good buddies who I worked with it was Midtown Home Improvements. He referred me here. It's So obviously ADT. So we follow up on new home closings. Every time a home closes, they get put in our new homeowners program. They get a credit for a security system. We go up, follow up, build them a customized system to their liking. Um, I started out just a regular sales rep. Eventually, I moved into assistant manager role. Then I took a little bit of time as one of the co-managers here. Now I'm transitioning into a corporate trainer aspect. So in Kansas City, we are the hub for SafeHaven. SafeHaven is the number one authorized dealer for ADT in the country. Kansas City is the main store. So when I first started here, all of the people were wanting to go into management for Safe Haven. They all came to Kansas City to train for 3 weeks and then go out to their separate offices throughout the country. They ended up closing that down for a little bit, so we just had our Kansas City office and our Kansas City team. They're about to unroll that again, and then I'm going to be one of the heads of that as well.
Okay, so you've been able to climb the ladder there at ADT. Tell me about, you talked about the Dale Carnegie class. What other classes do you feel like really helped lead you where you are? And then dig into a little bit and some of the things you were involved in while you were in college that helped get you where you are today.
Yeah, so small groups, that's something that really helped me out as well. I forget the name of the class, one where we do the Oxfam Hunger Banquet. That
That
was with Wendy.
was,
I
yeah,
forget the
that
name of the class for
it
that.
was persuasion. I think it's now called social influence. I remember that. I took
It
my
was
daughter to
social
that. Yeah.
influence when I was there as well.
Was that what it was? Okay.
Yes. So, yes, it was. And that was one of the biggest experiences that I had. I was part of the fundraising for the Oxfam Hunger Banquet. That was one of the first things where I really felt like everything we were learning, we're able to use that in like actual in real life. Um, for the fundraising portion, I was actually the one who had the most fundraising for the raffle that we did. Went around to some local businesses. We wrote up a script, got like different gift cards, cash incentives, and stuff like that, that we were able to use for the hunger banquet. And then, as well as everybody else who got to present at that, talk about the different avenues that the banquet was for, the different sorry, I'm blanking right now. Opportunities that we were able to help people out with as far as the food drives and stuff like that goes.
We're at the university, we're really big on that experiential learning, that high impact learning. Um, tell me a little bit about how that sort of learning, where you're, like you said, that you actually were able to apply it. How is that different from being in the classroom, hearing the lecture, taking a couple of tests? How big of a difference does that make for you in your career?
Yes, so that's honestly something that really helped me feel like what I'm learning is stuff that I'm going to be able to use. Because a lot of times, obviously, you go to class, you're learning the material, you're feeling like that you're just like learning all this information. It's not necessarily always, you're not necessarily always going to use everything. But when you're actually able to use it as a project, and you like, as far as what I was doing for the fundraising, that directly led into what I did right after college as far as the door to door goes. That was one of my first opportunities that I had. I was going, obviously, that was B2B, but I did more consumer after that, as well as obviously I'm doing straight to new homeowners now. And all of the experiences have led to me be able to be where I'm at now. And I just can't thank everybody there enough for it. I really appreciate everything that everybody poured into me, as well as everybody else there.
So when we talk a lot about one of the best predictors of academic success is going to be getting involved and being plugged in at the university. Aside from your classes, which you just mentioned a couple of them that very hands-on, very experiential. Were there other programs or clubs or organizations you were involved in while you were in college that really helped you develop your skills?
Honestly, no. That was something that I lacked at that point, and something that I really wish that I would have capitalized more at the time. When I was in the digital media production, I felt I should have been more involved when I was in at that point. when I switched over to comm studies, I was still working full time, as well as I was coaching wrestling also and working my way to be, because I was a walk on the wrestling team as well. So I was just a little busy with a couple other adventures, but I feel like that what my job that I did previous to ADT, I feel like that was kind of the stuff that I should have been doing more when I was in college, and then I would have been able to get to where I'm at a little bit faster than I was anticipating.
But I mean, being a member of the wrestling team and walking on, that's no small feat. And then working while you were in college, I think you were putting in some time and able to use those skills and things. So, what
Yes,
what motivates Dylan Lewis? What drives you now?
I just I like to help other people out. I like to see other people grow into what they can be because I know that's what people did to me. Um, that's another thing that we I really got out of the Dale Carnegie class was how you don't when you're training somebody, you don't train them to be what you think they can be. You assume like you almost manifest what they're going to be. You treat them as though that they've already had the success, and then they believe it in themselves, and then they know they can achieve it.
Nice. I like that. So, Dylan, you've talked about you're gonna be doing some recruiting. You've talked about what motivates you is helping people go from where they are to where they could possibly be and where they're wanting to go. So, I guess my last question then would be two pieces of advice: one for a current UCM student studying communication, one for a potential student. What would you tell them to help get them going?
So for a current student, I would say the biggest thing is get involved. Use get uh get an opportunity to be able to use what you're using in the classroom in the real world, as well as just using it in your regular day life. Use the communication skills that you learn. Use leadership tactics, whether you're on like a team or like if you have like a job, like a just like a side job. Implement what you're using in the classroom there, because the more that you use it, the more that you're going to be able to grow upon what you've already learned.
There you go. Use
And
that
then
practice.
for absolutely, and then for future UCM students, figure out what you want to do. Don't put too much pressure on yourself to have to know I'm working for this company, I'm doing this specific job, because life happens and it's usually not going to go the way that you think it's going to go. So just be able to be adaptable and have something in your mind. If you have obviously just your true passion that you've known your whole life, obviously attack that, but be able to be moldable, be able to listen to people. The biggest thing, another class that I forgot to mention is improving listening with Carol.
Yep.
Another one of the best classes that I ever had there. You really don't understand how much you don't listen to people until you really realize how much you can listen to people.
That's great stuff. Thank you so much, Dylan, and good luck to you as you go into this promotion. Those of you who are watching this, those of you who are listening, aren't going to know if I do this right, that we had some technical difficulties here today, but Dylan hung in there and stayed with us because it mattered to him. He wanted to share what he's experienced and what he's been through. So, Dylan, thank you so much. I appreciate you being here. And thanks all of you for tuning in. Remember, you can catch every episode on our YouTube channel through the UCM Media Network. That's youtube.com/UCMMN. You can also listen on Spotify. Special thanks as always to Jake Mager for creating our theme music. Again, this is Dr. Joe Moore reminding you, you can get there from here. Have a great day.